FORA.tv. The world is thinking.
As we look forward to the next election, there are 5 or 6 major issues: Iraq, terrorism, education, global warming or environment, energy policy. Do you think Iraq will be the major issue? And as you do that, could you give us a sense of where you see the 4 or 5 Republican candidates standing and the 3 or 4 Democrats?
I'm going to disappoint you mightily. I'm not going to comment on individual candidates next year. I think Iraq may or may not be the big issue. It depends on where Iraq is by March or April or May of next year. I think it's likely not to be the dominant issue because I think because of my assumptions about where it is, where I think it's likely to be. I think it may also be less of an issue because if you're a Democrat, you do not want to be in a place where on January 21st, 2009, if a Democrat gets elected president, the Democrat president faces the likelihood there'll be U.S. troops in Iraq. And so if you want the issue to be toned down, because you don't want to be in a place where on January 21, if you're a Democrat and you get elected, you face one of 2 options. You bring them home precipitously, and virtually everybody agrees the country descends into chaos, and that's on your watch, or that you keep them there in a reasonable configuration, redeployed, and in which case a large part of your party is angry with you. So I think this is sort of like Korea in 1952 and 53, where Eisenhower made a comment which led people to believe that he was for change, I'll go to Korea, but in essence kept in place the policies of Truman after the election. And for Republicans, I think again, similarly, they'd like to be able to talk about taxes, spending, values, national security, but in a broader context, national security in a broader context than just Iraq. But I'll tell you this, it is going to be a barn burner of a race. It's going to be a barn burner of a race because the process is so jammed together that the country, I think, is going to ill-serve the candidates and ill-serve the country. But, you have within the space of less than 2 weeks, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Florida. Now, we had Iowa, which we won, and 8 days later, New Hampshire, which we lost, and 19 days later, South Carolina, where we were able to climb back and win. What happens when you compress 4 major primaries into essentially 10, it's going to be 12 days. Wow. And as a result, what's going to happen is we're going into uncharted territory as to how, is the early winter in Iowa going to affect New Hampshire? Is the winter in New Hampshire going to affect South Carolina? It did last time. Iowa didn't affect New Hampshire, but New Hampshire affected South Carolina. We went from being 16 up in South Carolina the day before the New Hampshire primary to 6 down 24 hours later. And is that going to, is somebody going to win someplace in a way that grabs the national imagination? We also are going to have a contest. Think about this. We're on now the 8th of July. In 1999, George W. Bush had made his first campaign appearance on June 16th, 22 days ago. He'd had his first campaign fundraiser on the 19th of June. On the 30th of June, at $1,000 a clip, he reported a grand total of $37 million. We've now got candidates who began running at about 100. John McCain, I saw this week, had 150 staff members. We had in the 99-2000 campaign, we had 150 campaign staffers, I think, on or about September of 2000, over a year from now. So these guys have all been running. I mean, we've already had how many debates? I mean, too many. No, more than 3. We've got 3 on the Democrat side alone. I mean, 6, 8, something like that. I mean,
1.3 million, I think, was the answer, right?
Yeah, 1.5.
1.5 million, yeah.
1.5. I mean, these people have been running flat out since last November. They have a campaign, they were appearing last November and December at a pace that was equivalent to what we were appearing at in November and December of 99 and January of 2000. Now, is that healthy? No. Because, first of all, they're going to be exhausted by the time they get chosen. And then they're going to go into a bone-charring general election, and that's going to take more out of them. So somebody's going to get elected president and be completely exhausted. And they will not have had time to think for 2 years. I mean, part of what they're doing, you know, when Obama goes to the debate on health care in Nevada in February and stands up and says, I don't have a health care plan, but I'll have one by next January, it shows that the pace of this thing is outrunning the substantive process. People are not having time to sit down and think and walk these things through and put the numbers together and listen to interesting minds and be challenged and develop what it is that they want to say that is something beyond the press guy coming in saying, here's your soundbite for this afternoon. And that is really problematic and not helpful for the country.